Alright, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be doing a comparison between the Z Fold 5 and the S24 Ultra. So let's get into it. So right off the bat, we got to compare the screen sizes. So obviously, the Z Fold 5 has a smaller, slimmer outer display compared to the S24 Ultra's big and more normal aspect ratio display. And then when we're talking about slimness, the Z Fold 5 is a little bit thicker when it's closed than the S24 Ultra. But when you open it up, Z Fold 5 is slimmer than the S24 Ultra. So there's that. In terms of form factor, like using these things on a daily basis, one-hand ability is not bad on the S24 Ultra because of the rounded edges. I feel like that helps. But nothing, in my opinion, beats the Z Fold 5. It's just a smaller, compact phone like the iPhone mini. So one-hand usage for the Z Fold 5 is better in my opinion. So in terms of the screens, so I talked about the screen sizes, but the S24 Ultra features a brighter screen. It also is a higher definition screen. So it's sharper, better details, better contrast, all that stuff when you're watching videos, when you're playing games. So the S24 Ultra definitely has a better viewing experience than the other screen on the Z Fold 5. Going further on screen size, a lot of people, they hate the size of the Z Fold 5's outer display because of, how cramped it is. So in terms of multitasking, in my opinion, the Z Fold 5's outer display can do multitasking pretty well, better than Pixel phones, for example, because Pixel phones can't do certain things, like, for example, going in an app, swiping up into split screen very easily, or going in the app, then tapping your, app from your side panel, split screen very easily. Or to take it another step further, swiping from the edge panel again, and then just grabbing an app and dropping it into floating windows. Floating windows is something that Pixel phones cannot do, and you can have unlimited floating windows even on the outer display of the Z Fold 5. You might think, why would you do that? But when I daily drive this phone, I use floating windows all the time on the outside screen. It's just very easy to, pop in, do something quick on another app, and then just minimize it. Then when I need it again, I'll bring it up. And in terms of split screen, I use that on the outer display when I need to quickly do something, copying text from one app to another, calculating something very easily. I'll show you what the calculator looks like in split screen. Like, very usable, very easy to read the text. If you need to, you can zoom in if your app supports that. And yeah, so split screen multitasking is decent on the outer display of the Z Fold 5. Obviously, you wouldn't want to use that for a longer period of time because it's a smaller screen. But you can get stuff done when you're on the go and need to actually split screen and multitask. So it's decent. So obviously the S24 Ultra will be better because of the real estate. It's a little bit bigger than the Z Fold 5. But in my opinion, it is not that much more of an advantage than the Z Fold 5's outer display when it comes to multitasking. Because again, it's just a normal slab phone, right? So all your real estate is kind of vertical. And if you're trying to get stuff done, then you kind of need more horizontal space. So it is a little bit better, but it's not that much better, to be honest. But obviously, if you want a normal phone experience, but then you want like the ability to multitask to a high level, then yes, the S24 Ultra will be better for you in that regard. And then right now you can see the glare difference. So the S24 Ultra features an anti-reflective screen built in by default. The Z Fold 5 right now has a screen protector on, and it's just a normal tempered glass screen protector, and you can see the difference in glare. Like, the anti-reflection is really good on this S24 Ultra screen, so that's really nice. Just to very quickly go over some more things about the outer display versus the S24 Ultra, you got gaming, you got watching videos. I'm gonna go to a video real quick. So obviously playing games and watching videos is gonna be better on the S24 Ultra because it has a bigger screen than the Z Fold 5's outer display. However, Z Fold 5 has a smaller outer display. I know a lot of people are gonna get mad with me showing these use cases, but like, you can do things like this. You can prop it up. S24 Ultra, it kind of relies on, phone stands and accessories. I got a MagSafe wallet case that can turn to a stand. So I flip it up like that and boom. It's kind of similar, but then at the same time, like, I can literally angle it to any angle that I need. So yeah, there's that. The flexibility of the Z Fold 5 is nice, but again, going back to the screen size, it is a lot smaller than the S24 Ultra. For me, when I'm using the Z Fold 5 and I'm using the outer display, I'm watching a video, I'm holding it in my hand, I'm doing different things. I'm kind of multitasking in real life while using my phone. If I need to, I'll put it down. I'm mainly doing this for like videos that I'll listen to, like Flossy Card. I'm gonna listen to that in the background and occasionally look when he says something that piques my interest or whatever. So I'm not that serious about watching videos. If I'm serious, I'll open it up. That's what the outer display does well for me. And then S24 S24 Ultra, it's always going to be a good size. In terms of gaming is going to be better on the S24 Ultra than the smaller display. Also, I want to say it's also not a terrible experience on the Z Fold 5's outer display, in my opinion. It is slimmer, but it's pretty comfortable to hold, especially if you have a case. It will work, but it's not as good. So that's the theme of the outer display. It'll do it, but it's not as good as the S24 Ultra. So now when you open it up, it's a different story. This is why you're buying a folding phone, right? So when you have it in the portrait orientation, basically like one half is the viewing experience of the S24 Ultra, and then you have the bottom half to read comments, or like I showed you earlier, you can split screen and do something else completely different. It's like having two of these phone screens available at all times to just do a lot more things. There's so much more flexibility in terms of that multitasking and things like that. Then when you're trying to like fully immerse into a video, it's definitely bigger on the Z Fold 5 for sure, but there's so much wasted space that it kind of makes you a little bit sad. But at the same time, it's obviously a bigger experience. It's a more immersive experience for sure. And then with the Z Fold 5, the same as the outside screen, the versatility is still there. So you go into flex mode, then you can put it down. It turns a little bit smaller like the outer display, but then you get controls at the bottom, and you can also read comments at the bottom or have another app and multitask that way. There's pros and cons for both of them for sure. In reality, like the difference is pretty negligible in terms of like video screen size for both of them. The S24 Ultra just has a sharper and better display anyways, so you gotta pick and choose again. Now when it comes to multitasking, I already showed you what the S24 Ultra is capable of doing. It can do everything kind of that the Z Fold 5 can do, but it's just a smaller screen, right? So you're a little bit more cramped. So you can go into split screen, and then you can also have unlimited floating windows on top of that. I use it on this phone, works fine for me. Sometimes I have like 3 apps in floating windows, 2 apps in split screen on the S24 Ultra, and that works fine for me. I'm a multitasking maniac when it comes to doing that kind of stuff. Z Fold 5 can do that. It can also have 3 apps in split screen, so it's a lot more flexible. There's a lot more you can do, and then there's so many orientations that you can change the split screen to. On the Z Fold 5, you can adjust it. Make an app skinny, make an app wider. You can do a lot with the Z Fold 5, so the multitasking ceiling is a lot higher for sure. You can kind of get the idea. Then you have the taskbar, obviously. You can drag and drop from the taskbar. You can drag and drop from the edge panel, and just a lot more freedom with the multitasking and more space to do different things, like playing a game and then having YouTube on the top, etc. With the S24 Ultra, there is a similar use case. So I like to certain games and watch YouTube videos at the same time or listen to them. This is something that I kind of discovered recently. So like, normally with normal phones, slab phones, I don't really try to multitask, like play a game and watch a video at the same time, because like the space is just not there. But what I discovered with a game like TFT, where you don't necessarily have to be doing stuff constantly, you also don't need to like pay attention to like the area and all that stuff. You kind of just need to like plan out your board and put your characters in play and stuff like that. A game like TFT, it works perfect in this orientation. So I have YouTube in this little tiny box right here in split screen, and you might think it's so tiny, like what's the point? But honestly, it works pretty well. Like, I can comfortably go and read the comments while I'm playing TFT or another game, and it works fine. Like, the comments are very readable for me on the screen when I'm holding it, especially because it's a smaller phone, so I'm going to hold it a little bit closer. And then I'm also listening to my video. I can also see what's going on. It's not huge, but it's very usable for this multitasking entertainment setup. So yeah, this is not a bad use case for it at all, but that obviously can't beat what the Z Fold 5 can do and have basically 2 phone screens. So the game at the bottom, YouTube at the top, and then if I want to, I can add another app, like let's say Reddit. I want to have Reddit and YouTube, so I'm listening to my YouTube video, reading the comments the same way as I did on that phone, but then I can also go on Reddit and scroll in between matches and stuff like that. I can also adjust the game size so it's a little bit slimmer, more space for the top. Z Fold 5 just has that flexibility with multitasking. But like I said, the S24 Ultra's multitasking is really good it's basically the best that it gets for a slab normal phone. So, you think about Pixels, iPhones, Xiaomi's, Oppos, OnePluses. The S24 Ultra has the best multitasking of any normal phone out there. There's no competition in that regard. But then the Z Fold 5 has the best multitasking of any folding phone. So these are the multitasking kings in their respective category. But you got to choose which one you value the most in terms of screen size and flexibility and capabilities. So now let's talk about performance. So performance, honestly, one thing I was excited for the S24 Ultra was, it performing better than the Z Fold 5. My main gripe with these folding phones is the performance. I understand that they're slim and whatever, you can't, obviously manage the heat and stuff that well. But like for productivity devices, you would want better performance. You would want more power to do different things. Like for me, I video edit on my phones a lot of the time, and this phone definitely has some heating issues. So after like about 10 minutes, it will start to lag and stutter and stuff like that. Just because of the form factor, right? It has a powerful chip, efficient chip as well, but it lags and stutters because it heats up, and the processor needs to throttle down the performance so that, the phone doesn't explode or melt. I was really excited for the S24 Ultra because they made a big deal about the thermals being better and stuff like that, more focus on the heat dissipation. It is definitely more powerful for sure, and the thermals are definitely better, even just by default being a better form factor for that kind of stuff. It's not the big jump that I was looking for. It's a little disappointing, to be honest, but it is better than the Z Fold 5. So yeah, performance is better, but it's not that much of a difference, if I'm being really honest. Like, they can play the same games, they can video edit the same things, same videos. This will just last a little bit longer before it starts to, slow down and it starts to glitch and stuff like that when it comes to video editing. In terms of cameras, it's kind of the same thing. Like, the S24 Ultra has a way higher ceiling when it comes to cameras. Like, there's so much more potential in it. But when you're on auto mode, it's honestly really comparable to the Z Fold 5. Like, I'm not trying to say that this doesn't have, better cameras. It does. The S24 Ultra does. But yeah, like, it's not gonna like make you feel like, this is an actual a real camera's photos, and this is like a smartphone. It's not gonna feel like that. Like, they're both gonna be smartphone photos and videos, but the S24 Ultra is just gonna be better, especially in more lower lit situations, more tough conditions. The S24 Ultra will handle those better for sure. And then, like I said, it has a higher ceiling. So if you're an enthusiast, somebody who messes around with like settings and stuff like that, then you can definitely go crazy with this and get some professional looking stuff, even like rivaling real cameras, if you know what you're doing. Z Fold 5, it can, honestly, the ceiling is pretty high because of what you have in terms of software and freedom. Like, you have pro controls, you have expert raw, you have pro video, just like the S24 Ultra, but like slightly less hardware. So the image is not going to look as good, especially in tough conditions, but the ceiling is still pretty high with this. And you have a built-in tripod, which this does not have. And then you also have an external viewfinder, so you can see yourself on the other screen, which this does not have. So, both of them are great, content creation for videos and photos, but the S24 Ultra is just better. And the amount it's better by, it depends on what you're doing. Like I said, if you're just taking random photos and stuff like that, then it's honestly really comparable. And then now let's get into the S Pen. So right off the bat, Z Fold 5 needs a special S Pen, a Fold Edition S Pen, or the S Pen Pro, which can switch between regular S Pen and Z Fold S Pen, and it works like that. So this one is also Bluetooth, the S Pen Pro, and you can do, all your Bluetooth gestures and stuff like that, like you would with a normal S Pen from a S series. You can use it to record videos, to take photos, to, start your voice record, stuff like that. Turn your volume up. I just took a screenshot. You can do a lot of different air gestures with this pen, and then the same thing with this one. But I do think that the S24 Ultra's pen feels a little bit smoother in terms of latency and stuff like that. I feel like it's probably just newer tech. I'm not sure if they actually upgraded the technology inside, or if it's just a smaller screen, or if it just feels faster in general because of the phone itself and not the pen. But yeah, in terms of capabilities, both of these phones can do the same things with the S Pen. The Z Fold 5 has a way bigger screen for writing and, drawing, whatever you would use the stylus for on a tablet or a phone. You can do that on the Z Fold 5. Just a lot more comfortable than the S24 Ultra. S24 Ultras, it kind of feels like it's more for like, you're on the go and you want to just, pull it out and take some notes real quick. So like, let's say I'm on my way home and then I remember like, oh shoot, I need to get groceries tomorrow. So S24 Ultra kind of feels like it's more for like quick sessions, quick notes to jot down. You can, like I said, do the same things as the Z Fold 5. So you can like really do some professional art on here. You can find YouTube videos on, I'm not sure if anyone made any videos like that for this phone yet. Previous S series phones with the S Pen and the notes, people have made professional art, like really good looking stuff with these phones on this phone's screen size. So you can definitely get some real stuff done. You can even like go crazy and use it in your college class and take notes and stuff like that. You can do all that on this phone. It's just a smaller screen, so you really gotta pick your poison, I guess. But the Z Fold 5 will be the more comfortable experience. In terms of battery life, the S24 Ultra basically doubles the Z Fold 5's battery life. This can probably get you, like, it depends on who you are. this will get me like 9 hours of screen on time, and then the Z Fold 5 will get me around like 5 to 6 hours. It could be more, sometimes 7 if I'm doing lighter stuff on the Z Fold 5, and also like how much I'm using the outer display versus the inner display brightness and stuff like that. Am I connected to Wi-Fi or am I in data and stuff like that? So those things will impact your battery life, but generally the S24 Ultra, even on heavier days, will get you more battery life than the Z Fold 5. That's just a given. It has a bigger battery and it has a smaller screen. And then you could take it a step further and turn this 1440p display down to 1080p, and that would save you some battery life while still being 120 hertz. You could turn off your always on display or change it to all black instead of displaying like this, like an iPhone, and that will save you a lot more battery life. So this phone can low-key be like a 2-day battery life phone if you really want it to be, maybe even longer if you do like extreme stuff. So yeah, the S24 Ultra has a bigger battery, a way better battery life for sure. And then in general usage, like let's say app optimization and just using the phones in general, Z Fold 5, it works well. Like I don't have too many issues with app optimization. Like apps just work more normal on a normal phone, which obviously makes sense, right? Developers are not fully on the wave of folding phones and tablets and bigger screens. So you'll find that apps will just work more better on a normal phone, which the S24 Ultra is. It does have a slightly taller screen, slightly bigger screen than some other phones, but apps just work fine. It's the same with the Z Fold 5, but like I said, there could be quirks, like things are too zoomed in, or apps don't have tablet versions, so then it looks kind of weird, especially if you rotate it to this orientation. But there's nothing that you can't really work around. Like let's say app doesn't work well, you can just put in a split screen side by side, and then that will be a more normal aspect ratio for both of those apps, and you can just leave it like that and it will work well. So there's workarounds for making apps work more normally on the Z Fold 5. You're not really missing out on too much in terms of optimization, but there is that to note. And if you're somebody who just wants it to work well right off the bat quickly, then maybe this is better, or just do it on your outside screen and you'll have little to no problems with app optimization and aspect ratios, but then you have a smaller screen. So now to end the video, which one is the better phone? Which one should you buy? Which one is just better overall? To answer that question, I don't think it's a straight answer. To be honest, I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. Like personally, I like the Z Fold 5's form factor and the potential for multitasking and all that stuff way better. I like the one-hand ability of the outside screen better, but the ceiling is higher on the S24 Ultra, meaning that you can do a little bit more in terms of things that might matter to you. So for example, like the cameras, like I said, you can go further with them and make higher quality content and videos and photos. With performance, it's a little bit better. With the screen quality and watching content, it's a little bit better. Like in terms of just performance and normal phone stuff, the S24 Ultra is better and has a higher ceiling in that sense, and the cameras. But for everything else, I think the Z Fold 5 is the better phone. The Z Fold 5 just offers way too much. It's just way too flexible. It can mold into anything that you need it to do, and I think it's really great. But yeah, it really just comes down to personal preference. Some people hate the outer display of this so much that they can't use it, and some people feel like this is too cramped and they need more space, so they rather have a folding phone that gives you the option of a bigger display. So it really comes down to preference. I think it's not a straight answer of which one's better, because they are pretty close in a lot of areas, and they each have their benefit. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully this video helped you. It's again one of those videos that doesn't really give you an actual answer, but let me know which one you would pick in the comments below and your thoughts. But we out. Peace.